We're going to go ahead and call our meeting to order. Good evening. In response to COVID-19, all participants are required to wear a face mask. Those who cannot attend in person this evening are joining us via Zoom webinar. Welcome. For those that would like, please join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Go ahead and ask for a roll call. Director Julie Bocanegra.
Here.
Director Victoria Bradford.
Here.
Director Rob Perkins.
Here.
Superintendent John Boyd.
Here.
Administrative Assistant Lori Stroll. Thank you. Director Bocanegra will lead us in the land acknowledgement.
Yes, thank you. Evergreen Public Schools resides on the traditional lands of the Chinookan peoples and the Cowlitz tribe. They have lived on and cared for this land and its waterways since time immemorial. We thank them for their stewardship and make this acknowledgement to open a space of recognition, inclusion, and respect for all Indigenous students, families, and staff in our community.
Sorry, I lost my agenda. Okay, the next on the board is the agenda for tonight's agenda. We actually, at the previous meeting, there was a motion made to defer the first reading of operational OE3 and OE9 to tonight. But we need to move this agenda item to review at the March 8th meeting. Is there anything else that needs to be pulled off this before I believe we also need to pull off item 7B, the 1250P procedure that's set for second reading and approval, as it actually does not need board action.
I think the motion would be to adopt the agenda with those two items removed.
I don't see the other one on the agenda. Is that?
It's not actually on the agenda. We just need to make note that it isn't on the agenda and why it's not on the agenda, that we're moving it because it was approved to move to this meeting.
I will make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda with the removal of item number 7, proposal for action, and to acknowledge that we're going to bring back communicating with the public OE3 and 9 to the next board meeting on March 8th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect. Thank you. And then next, we are going to go ahead and go into our Evergreen Awards, and we're going to call Janae Gomes up to introduce the award recipients. We're working on getting Janae mic'd.
Testing. Thank you. Thank you for having me up here this evening. This will be our first Evergreen Award for this school year. We have 3 recipients, a classified, certificated, and an administrator. And these are, as a reminder, awards. They are voted on by individuals in the school district. We send out a form, and then they are nominated. And this evening, we're going to begin with classified. And the recipient is, you go ahead and come on in. The recipient is from Harmony Elementary, Krista Wade, and we have Principal Laura Buno that's going to speak regarding Krista and her families here.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening, Superintendent, board members. I'm just proud and honored to be here tonight. This is Krista Wade. She is a paraeducator at Harmony Elementary School. She has been a part of the Harmony family for several years. The last few years, she has been a wonderful sub for us, and this year we were able to hire her, not because we didn't want to before then, but because she was available and the timing was right. So she stepped into a one-on-one paraeducator position in special education this year. What's been so exciting is that Harmony is really focused on inclusionary practices this school year, and so Krista has been able to come in just fluidly, been able to support not only her student, but all the students in the classroom, and they just love working with her. She does book clubs in the classroom. She is a part of the classroom and a teacher in the classroom. The kids respond to her, and the kids know her, and she's very fluid within the classroom, but she's also fluid beyond the classroom. So she's constantly seeking, how can I help? How can I support? Where do you need me? And what can I do? Some of the characteristics that I would say she has is she's kind. She's very supportive of staff and students. She's very sensitive to the kids' needs in terms of how she speaks to them, when she speaks to them. She is respectful, and she's earned that respect back from the students. Flexibility, she can pivot, she can go here, she can go there, and if you need something, she's the gal. And she's very, very enthusiastic and positive with the kids, and they just really respond to that. We are just so thankful that she is officially every day on the Harmony team, and very, very thankful for her. And I'll end with just a quote. Michelle, she works in Michelle Tendler's room. She's a 5th grade teacher, and Michelle is actually the one that nominated her for this award. And I'll just end with this quote that says, "Krista is the best paraeducator I have had the opportunity to work with during my teaching career." And she is amazing. Thank you. Family members.
Yeah. My brother John is over there taking pictures, and his wife and one of my best friends, Shani, she teaches at Silver Star, fifth grade. My son Gavin, my husband Gary, my daughter Kaylee, and then Barbara and Michelle from Harmony. Wonderful ladies I work with.
We like it when you come and visit with us.
Yeah.
This is the first one we've had back here.
I think you're right, yeah.
This is good.
Like the paparazzi, isn't he?
And I am smiling.
We can tell. We can tell. We see it in your eyes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I just wanted to say, Krista, congratulations so much. I'm a former Harmony mom, and my girls went through that school, and it's a special place, and they're lucky to have you. Thank you so much for your hard work.
Thank you for coming in. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for, yeah.
Our next recipient is certificated. The recipient is Margaret Barker, and Principal Elizabeth Brawley will be speaking on behalf.
Good evening, Superintendent Boyd and members of the school board and the Evergreen community. I'm excited to be here tonight to celebrate Miss Margaret Barker. She has done the important and life-changing work of really making sure that all students feel that huge sense of belonging in her classroom with inclusive practices. She was nominated by her colleagues for just that work of making sure every single student belongs in her classroom. She works hard, and her students know and feel that sense of love. There's a student that I'd like to tell you a story about. At the beginning of the year, he would run around circles. We have the old building, so the library is circular, and he would run around in circles, not really knowing where he should go or who he should be with or what was happening with school. And Margaret really took him under her wing and made him not only feel like a valued member in the class, he was 100% a valued member in the class, his voice, his ideas, he was definitely an integral part of the classroom community. And not only did he have that sense of belonging, but he thrived. His reading, from the beginning of the year, he grew over 11 months with his reading data. And that's just one story of many that the impact that Margaret has had on our Riverview community. So again, I am honored to be here celebrating her and her work. And that student that I told you about, he actually moved out of district just a couple weeks ago, and his mother called crying, just saying how life-changing that was to have that experience here in the Evergreen School District and at Riverview. So thank you, Margaret, for your awesome and amazing work.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I guess the only thing that I can think to say is that if I take the time and build the relationships and let these kids know that our classroom is a place that they belong, any child, that the reading, the writing, the math, and all the academics are going to follow right behind it. And we see lots of great growth in our classroom because they all are a family. Not only are they connected with me, but they're so connected with each other. And so there's a huge sense of belonging from day one in our classroom. And I don't think I could be any more proud of that learning than just how amazing they do. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Okay. So this long line of people. In the pink jacket is my granddaughter Madeline and my son-in-law Julio. And then Janet and Stephanie, who nominated, and my daughter Kimberly, my daughter Amanda, my mom Ann, my husband Kirk, and then Scott and Marcia are second mom and dad, and I helped talk her into being a teacher, so she had to be here too. Run around there. Okay, elbow bumps. It's socially acceptable. Here, let me run on down here. Good luck.
Sure.
Thank you. Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
It's nice to have an entourage.
Sure is.
Our final award this evening is an Administrator Award. They'll be coming in just a minute. Alex Shiwi is the recipient, and the Senior Directors of Elementary Education, Scott Monroe and Bobby Height, will be speaking on behalf.
Good evening, Superintendent. Good evening, Board. Good evening, EPS community. Scott and I are here to recognize an amazing administrator at Ellsworth Elementary, Alex Shuey. I had the pleasure of being Alex's mentor his first year when he got that call to be our building leader at Ellsworth. And I knew right away that he was a really talented and gifted leader. He knew he had a vision, he knew what he wanted to do, and he always kept students at the forefront. And he made some really difficult decisions quickly to better serve our students. And it's really an honor to recognize Alex for this award. It is well deserved, and he has put his whole heart into Ellsworth over these past few years, and I couldn't be more proud of Alex. And I know Scott has a very long-time relationship and friendship with Alex, and he would like to say a few words about him as well.
Thank you, Bobby. And it is a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us, especially when it's about honoring somebody as great as Alex is. And one thing, if you don't know this about Alex, he really likes being the center of attention. So, we're happy to bring him up for that. But I was telling Alex outside as I thought about this, and I hadn't realized it until I really put some thought into it, that Alex and I have known each other for 20 years now. And we first met when he came over to Illahee Elementary, where I was teaching and doing some TOSA work at the time as he was starting his career as a teacher. And I've had the pleasure of just watching and observing and working with Alex over the last 20 years, where he has excelled in every position in the district that he has had. And as Bobby said, Ellsworth is very lucky to have him. Erin, who's here, knows that because she nominated him, and Nancy certainly knows that because she works side by side. And Alex, we're just so pleased and honored that you're part of our team. And it's our pleasure to honor you in this way.
I don't like being so, but I am. Thank you very much for having me. And those kind words are, and for those kind words more than anything else. What Erin wrote in the nomination, I got the chance to read it, and I'm glad it's not read tonight, because it couldn't have come at a better time, and I needed that more than anything else. But those tears come, and you think about the hard work that has gone in. But it hasn't been about me; it's been about a team, and I am so grateful for the team that I get to work with every day, and that's what makes this all more special. So thank you.
You picked a difficult time to start your career as a principal. Nothing like. Come on over here.
Come on. Nice try. He loves all the attention.
Thank you so much.
And that concludes our Evergreen Awards. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for taking the time this evening.
Thanks, Janae.
Thank you. Congratulations, everyone.
Yay, more names on the award.
It's always so fun to watch staff be recognized and get their name on the plaque. Next is our board consent agenda. Entertain a motion.
I move for approval of the board consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
I have
Aye.
a comment.
I'm sorry, what?
I have a comment.
You have a comment?
Yeah, which one was it? Number C, the farmland management agreement was modified slightly, and so the thing in board docs is not exactly the same, but it's been corrected because there was language. I talked to Sue Steinbrenner about this today. There was language in there that needed to be removed, so when John and the others go to sign it, there will be no Exhibit B. The Exhibit B content is already in the contract.
That it's in here.
Yeah, I'm not asking to pull it, just notifying that the document you saw is not the document that they'll sign because of that small change.
Perfect. All right, we have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next is the superintendent consent agenda.
I move adoption of the superintendent's consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Superintendent report.
Thank you. So lots happening. We're working hard, continuing to work hard on the strategic planning process. So I am meeting with the team, with Julie and Clarissa and the team from Ed Northwest, and they're working on the stakeholder input piece. We're going to pilot some of the processes for the stakeholder input at the All Ops meeting on this Thursday. So we'll, as soon as we get a plan for the stakeholder feedback, we'll reach out to the board and get you involved. We can have 2 at a time. So I know that Victoria and I think Julie have been on that committee, but we can have the 2 of you others join us. We'll find a way to get everybody an opportunity to do some listening and when we do that stakeholder feedback.
Thank you.
I'm continuing to work with Cabinet. We've finalized our purpose and working on our commitments with each other. We continue to have really productive meetings dealing with a lot of different heady topics. So I'm real proud and pleased of the work that we're doing together there. As you know, we failed our levy, and we're working to change up our communication a little bit. So I've been working with Craig, and we have been meeting with other superintendents. We had a conference call with WASA today about different ways of communicating about the levy, and so we're working hard to get that ramped up and so that we can successfully engage our community in the right way around the levy. And let's see, I'm also working on a facilitator for us after the new Director 4 area director is selected, then I'll loop back with board leadership and we'll talk about that, and I'll propose maybe a person or 2 for you to consider to be able to do that work as an onboarding and some board retreat and some team building for us. I won't steal Rob's thunder on the legislative front, but there's some good movement, I think, on some hold harmless provisions and some prototypical fund models. I'll let Rob speak to that, but the legislature, through the advocacy of all the different groups, there's some things that I think are going to be beneficial to the Evergreen School District. So lots of support and working behind the scenes to advocate for our district on that front. And yeah, I visited schools today. I visited Burton Elementary, and it was Tuesday, 2/22/2022 day, and everybody was wearing tutus.
Oh, that's cute.
I resisted the urge, or actually resisted the pressure to put a tutu on and take a picture, but we did get some pictures there. It was a fun day. Great school. They're super excited about their new building next year, and just like all of the principals and the staff, they're just working so hard under extraordinary circumstances. And it's just a pleasure to get in the building and actually just see that tremendous effort under extraordinary times and how everybody's holding it, not only holding it together, but working productively to support our kids. So it's very inspirational to get out in the building. So that's my report.
Thank you. Okay, next is the policy 1250, students on governing boards, the second reading and approval. Do not believe we've received any changes on our policy. Any input,
I haven't received any comments at all.
You received anything from staff or anything?
I know that Clarissa had reached out to some of her groups and is ready to give some feedback on that. Yeah. Would you like to come forward and share what you garnered for that? Is this the appropriate time?
Yes.
that's not the policy though, that's the procedure.
Oh, okay.
So, but on the policy, I don't think we've had any, not on the policy itself. Okay. So we can go ahead and move that, and then we can talk about the procedure. So the procedure is the one that we actually pulled off the agenda for board action, but I saw that we've got all those changes and want to discuss those. Are we prepared to discuss them tonight? The changes has everybody had a chance to look at them?
On the
Looked at them in comparison to what we had, so
Maybe we can,
maybe get a highlight of some of the significant things maybe that were.
on the procedure. Okay. Do you mind, Clarissa, once we vote on the policy, if we just do go over it real quick? Thank you. All right, so but on the policy, we don't have any changes or suggestions on that. Entertain a motion for, is it final adoption, or are we moving it forward? Second
No.
reading, second reading?
We're in second reading, so I move that we adopt policy 1250 as presented.
Second. Oh. Go ahead, Victoria.
Second.
Any questions from the audience? Any question from the board? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Woohoo, we finally have a policy adopted. Yay.
So just to clarify on the procedure, we don't need to approval for that, but we are going to get some clarifications to the work that Clarissa's group did.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes,
Did we receive an email about it?
Yes.
I'm not finding
yesterday.
it. Oh.
There was a Google Doc invitation and some comments about the
I'm not
procedure.
showing it in my,
Yesterday.
nope. Could somebody send it to me not in a Google Doc, please? But I'm not showing it on here.
It's an interactive document, so the comments are on the document itself.
Okay.
I'm not sure if we can share.
I can never get the district of Google Docs to open up. But I never got it anyway.
Do you want to just review or postpone? What do you feel?
Well, I'm just looking at some of the, because it looks like basically there's just notes on several items down below that might need some rework. Okay. I guess we could just maybe the suggestion could be is that we just, a couple of us take these comments and then work on.
Some of it are valuable corrections to grammar, clarifying sentences. I appreciate that kind of work whenever it happens, because we can't.
It looks like there's just really a handful of things that we need to look at and address.
At this point, are you guys okay with me moving forward, working with John in making some more changes on the procedures and then bringing it back for
I am.
review?
Workshop
And I'll
review or
work
something.
with Clarissa, and that way you guys don't, and we can go do it that way instead of doing this at a public meeting.
Yes.
I think when it's complete,
Sorry?
when it's complete,
The procedure?
when the procedure's complete, or you just email it to us and it becomes a public document anyone can ask for.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to bring it back for a meeting.
Yeah, and we're happy to sit down and set
Go
up
over
a time
that?
to do that, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, because there's some other comments on here that I'd like to kind of dig into a little bit more. Yeah, and referencing to some of our GCs and things, so just take a little extra time. Is that okay, Clarissa? Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry, got off track. Let me get back to my agenda. Next is the department updates. And it looks like teaching and learn, oh, hold on. Are we going to bring our agenda up? And teaching and learning is next on the agenda. However, there is no update this evening. So we're going to go ahead and go to the next item, our equity inclusion update. And Clarissa, would you mind coming up and giving us that update? Thank you very much. You couldn't stay away from us for long. I tried to give you an out, but.
Yeah, this one isn't working for whatever reason, so. Okay, yeah, no, it's all good. All right, so as you saw before, our equity committee did take the time to provide feedback on the procedure. In addition to that, at our last equity advisory committee meeting, we had one of our math TOSAs, Pam, joined the team. Well, actually, she wasn't able to, but she brought forth a document that she wanted our team's input on, which was the math challenge exam parent letter. She wanted to make sure that the letter itself was detailed enough and accessible to all of our parents so that the outcome would be that we could have additional students who would take the math challenge exams. So out of the feedback from our committee, in addition to some volunteering from Susan Hong, who you all know is facilitating our Students Advocating for Equity group, they have decided to create a video to accompany the letter, and the voiceover is Susan, because she was a student who actually has taken part in taking a math challenge exam. So she has personal experience. Her family has experience with what that process looks like. And so she was able to give her feedback to Pam. And they did a video that will then accompany the letter. There'll be like a little QR code or a link that folks can click on or use their phone to see in order to access. The video will also be translated, so our Spanish-speaking and Russian-speaking parents will also have access to the video. We do want to increase our Spanish and Russian-speaking students who take the math challenge exam. And so Pam put some really good thought into putting the letter together, and then our equity committee gave her some really thoughtful feedback. And so we look forward to that letter going out here very soon, and then potentially having an increase in representation in students who take the math challenge exam. Secondly, at the beginning of the year, you will remember that we did a presentation to you all on our culturally responsive practices, specifically culturally responsive teaching. We have been putting out resources for schools to look at and potentially use from the Ready for Rigor framework. As we're doing that, we also want to make sure that we're calibrating. We know that schools have lots to do, right? As we heard from many of the award recipients earlier, there's a lot that is involved in the day-to-day. So we also want to make sure that we're pausing and calibrating with our schools. So our equity advancement specialists, myself as well as Shamila, are out in schools talking with admin teams or whomever they have given as point people to ask them how and where they are with their culturally responsive practices and where they'd like to be. And we're going to be utilizing this information to help us plan for the upcoming school year and beyond. And so those are the three things that have been key since last we met. Any questions?
Oh, that's great. The more kids, the better to take the math challenge.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the appointment of director for district number 4. So last week, due to Rachel Rogers' resignation from the board, we had to do a candidate pool for a replacement, which was difficult in itself. We held open public interviews last week. We had originally, I believe it was 10 overall applicants, which was great, a lot of great candidates, but now we have to come to a decision. So what we're going to do is we will take a vote. All of our ballots will be passed down to Superintendent Boyd, who will then read out the results of that. I think that's all of it. So yeah, anybody have anything else to add to?
Yeah, I was just going to say that Jenny's right. We were fortunate that we had many people apply. We had, 5 interviews last Tuesday evening. All of them were fantastic, and I really appreciated getting to know the candidates better that we interviewed. And one of the things that, the board has to make a tough decision and pick one out of all the great candidates that we had. But we hope that the other candidates, even if they weren't selected, will continue to work with us and maybe there's some other committees or things that, I know Victoria might speak to that, of the different opportunities we have, but we need everybody's input and everybody's help, and so there's various ways that people can get involved.
That's exactly what I wanted to talk about, because it really, I mean, I've been still trying to make up my mind up to today, because we did have some really great candidates, and I appreciate the, what it takes to apply, go through the public interviews and stuff, because that in itself takes a lot of courage and commitment to our children, and I appreciate that very much. And I do sincerely hope that anyone who isn't selected for this position work with us on some of these other committees, and we'll be happy to talk to anybody about what those might be, because we really need those voices. And as we come up with our strategic planning process, we really want to hear from people, and thoughtful people that really have been engaged in what's going on with our kids. So thank you to everybody who applied and went through the process.
I could echo all of that. I'm thinking especially about Instructional Materials Committee, about Clarissa's Equity Advisory Committee, and, yeah, the strategic process. Every voice that we can admit to that room for that is going to enhance and improve things. And I really hope, yeah, the same things, that we can, especially if, John, you could extend opportunities to these candidates as you think of them, that would be really good.
Yep. Okay, all right. We'll have our ballots in front of us.
We're voting and sending them to
Just
John.
pass them down.
We have board ballot 1, right?
Yeah.
And so,
There you go.
All right. So I'll read the results out. Director Perkins votes for Jacqueline Weatherspoon. Director Gronwald votes for Jacqueline Weatherspoon. Director Bocanegra votes for Jacqueline Weatherspoon. And Director Bradford votes for Tyrone Foster. So we have 3 votes for Jacqueline Weatherspoon and 1 vote for Tyrone Foster.
Okay, wonderful. Great.
There we are.
So thank you again for everyone that applied. And is there any formal acceptance of?
Do we need to,
We'll
Do I-
just reach out to and let her know when the swearing in is.
Yes, so the swearing in will actually take place at our next meeting on March 8th. Greg Kimsey will be here to administer the swearing in, and we'll be able to seat the new board member. Just thank you again for everyone that applied. This was a really hard decision to make, and like Vic said, up until just even today, just kind of trying to make that choice. I do hope that everybody will still continue to be or will get more involved in the district and things that we have going on. Rev said a couple of them. We have a lot of things coming up. A lot of our CTE stuff, our new construction programs, our foundation, our Evergreen citizens. We have a lot of need in a lot of places. So I just hope that other people continue to be involved.
and I just want to thank the board on a very thoughtful process. I had the pleasure of being part of the executive session, and just, like you said, a truly difficult decision with some excellent candidates, and just a very thoughtful process on the part of the board. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I just maybe want to add to, maybe just for the people in the audience to know that, so Jacqueline, who was voted in here this evening, won't start until March 8th, like Ginny said, and be sworn in. But we'll reach out to her, and then there'll be some onboarding things that will get in place for her too.
Yeah, it was so easy to imagine each of those 5 candidates as a member of this board working with us, and that made the decision harder, not easier. But I'm looking forward to working with Mrs. Weatherspoon and seeing what's possible.
Okay. Good.
Okay. I'm excited to
Deep breath.
be person. And
We do? Okay. Moving on. Okay. Next is our good news report. I believe Craig is going to go ahead and come up and give us our good news for the evening. Although we've had quite a bit of good news this evening.
I'd be embarrassed by my 10,000 windows that are open on my computer.
That's normal, isn't it, to have that many
It
things
is. Well,
going
the
on
good
at
news
once?
is I have 2 browsers open, and this has the least amount of windows.
Feels like my brain most days.
There we go.
All right, there we go. I'm going to start out with a community partnership, a beautiful day at Orchards, and we had Deputy Chris Paisan come over for the Police Athletics League of Southwest Washington, part of the literacy program, which is great, able to do these again. And he gave out books, a safety lesson, a tour of his police SUV, and Officer Paisan was, the kids obviously got a kick out of it and learned a lot. But one of the students asked the deputy for his autograph in the book. So the deputy told me he felt like a hero and a superstar, so that was really nice. Our schools are all celebrating Black History Month. I went over to Legacy High School for Taylor Fullwider's U.S. History class, and I thought this was an awesome lesson. They were celebrating Black music and Black musicians and how those musicians influence American history. And each student got a genre of music, and they got to share some of the musicians, and they got to play some of the music, which was awesome. I was there for funk, which was cool, but it makes you feel really old when they start talking about musicians that they had to really search in history for, but it was a really cool lesson. Have a few other, the dual language program, Maria Kamalici's class over at Frontier. They also did reports on Black heroes and Black leaders. I will tell you that I am doing the Duolingo app, but I did not understand a lot of it, but it was very cool to see the presentations in Spanish. Similar type things at other schools, including Cascade Middle School, did awesome posters in their school. A lot of our schools celebrated Kindness Week, Matters Week, and I went over to Sifton, and they had a really cool thing. Thanks to the awesome generosity of ZoomInfo's donation to the FCRCs, Sifton decided to use some of those funds to purchase Kindness Matters t-shirts that were actually designed by that young man there, Cameron Whitledge, and like a real artist. My wife's an artist, and I told her this. She said that's what artists do. He was the only one who didn't wear the t-shirt on that day because he designed it. I went over there to take pictures, and I thought I'd go out to the playground, take a few, and go into the classrooms. And they told me, oh, no, we've got some people coming into the Commons for you. And I said, oh, great, how many? They said, oh, no, the whole school. So I did the best I could. I was not prepared for that, but it was pretty awesome to have them all there in their blue shirts. Ellsworth did a celebrated Kindness Week as well at recess every day during that week. Illahee Elementary PTA presented every student a Valentine card and a lollipop, so it was a nice way to celebrate there. And I wanted to mention a couple staff recognitions. In our building here, we have our custodian, Matt. We all see him at 4 o'clock get here and then work his tail off all night long, and he was honored by ABM as their custodian of the year, so that was really cool
for us here in the building. And then Shane Gardner, our Director of Safety and Security, he received a Real Heroes Award, and it's well earned. Anybody who works in this district knows Shane. He is a commanding presence and also a very kind man. And I always say I appreciate him because I can hide behind him. But a well-deserved award from Shane. And finally, I'll wrap it up with we know that our Superintendent Boyd started this month, and one of his first visits was right to Evergreen High School, where Danny Orancio gave him a tour and a T-shirt, and he got to walk the school, and it was great to see him meet with staff that he did. Like he said, I was there with him at Sifton today as well. So that's our good news.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Craig.
Craig. I'm going to have a talk with Danny. I don't think we ever got the We Are the E shirts.
We're just the board. We don't, all the other important people. It's really nice to see our students. I like that they're having conversations about kindness, and the world could use a lot more kindness these days. And so to have our kids learning what that means and why it's so important, I just feel good about that.
I like the T-shirts, them all wearing them same day, it just makes them feel like a community and brings them together in a time where people just feel so separated. It's nice to see a whole school feel like it's connected.
Well, we know that during COVID, having the kids be on remote, that really was challenging for them. And so being able to come back together and get those reinforcements and togetherness and community and feeling connected again and participate in what's happening in their school community is just so critical for their social emotional learning as well as their academic learning.
I love that a student designed the shirt too.
I know, they
I
always
always
are
love
so
that,
good with
yeah.
those art. We always have had amazing artists in our kids. It's pretty incredible, some of the things they do.
I think the teacher we honored said it best, that the academics follow from the safe environment
Yeah.
and the welcoming environment, and
I love
kindness
that.
is a
Love it.
component of that. It's a major component.
Yeah, I loved that. It's such a true statement, right? When you feel connected and you feel like you're part of something, that everybody is more successful.
I agree. Okay, board comments. Just keep going.
Oh, let me see.
Anything?
Yeah, I'm going to say something that's kind of difficult for us. We're highly disappointed in the outcome of the levy. We've had a chance to, listen to people, hear from some people, and we'll be doing more of those conversations. I think the thing for me personally that's really kind of broken my heart about this is that our kids have been in a very challenging situation, and they're just now coming back to school. And part of what people were really having a lot of anxiety about were the things that kids were missing. And those are the very things that our levy supports. And I feel like it's just pulling the rug out from under them when they need it the most. And so that's a piece of it that I just have to be honest about how I feel as it pertains to the situation. But we also understand, assessments are up. All of us are impacted by it. We all own homes. We understand that. And so coming back with something I think that's, we're going to have to make some cuts, but it won't be so dramatic. And hearing people, because it is challenging. So I appreciate the work that you guys did so quickly to kind of restructure the ask on this, and we'll do a good job of getting out there and talking to folks about it so that they understand what it means.
Yeah, and I just add to that too, because I think that one of the biggest misconceptions is that we're not it's a replacement levy, so we're asking what's already been in place. Because I think a lot of times they think that there's a new tax on top of what we're already collecting, and it's just to replace what we have. Yes, it could be up based on your assessed value, But I think the restructure will help ease that a little bit.
I think it might be important to talk about the fact that the rate is computed and the ask is for the fixed dollar amount, even though the rate is something that we can understand. We can misunderstand how much that translates to in real dollars at tax time if we don't recognize that part. It's always so complex explaining the way that taxes are computed and assessed that I think what I mean to say is that it's a conversation I know the community would like to have and that we would like to have, and that's what I took away from the levy result was that desire for transparency and clarity that can be so difficult when the formulas are such algebra. But I think we can do it. I think it's possible to. When I spoke with somebody about it, and he talked about the messaging and a little bit, and I can share that with you all later on, but he was very insightful, kind of drove that point home.
Well, and I think also doing some FAQs and taking in what we've heard and what we've seen since the election and what the community members are commenting. I think there's some misunderstandings out there, especially when it comes to our bond and our levy and what the differences are and what each of them do. As well as our ESSER funds, and the fact that this levy is a replacement levy. It is not new dollars and expires at the end of the year, and also kind of getting into what it is we're going to have to cut if we don't pass this and what the impacts are going to be, because it is a huge impact. And not what we provide with it, but what we're going to have to take away now, because if we don't pass it this time. Any other comments? Rob, you got anything for board comments?
Since the last regular meeting, I had the first session of Leadership WASDA, which was up in Lacey at the WASDA headquarters. It was 2 half days of pretty intense discussions about defining leadership, and there were there was a lot of emphasis on servant leadership, about involving voices, and just the experience for the first couple of days really recommends this experience to any of us. They don't take on 3 board members or 4 board members or all 5 at the same time, but I think they're going to do one next year, and I really believe that we should all have that opportunity. The next meeting is in April, I think, or March. It's only like 5 meetings over the course of the year, but I'm just really looking forward to the experience and what it can add to this board. Aside from that, that's what we did. We were all together for the other parts with the interviews and so forth. The rest is legislative.
All right, any future agenda items?
None for me.
No? All right. Citizens' comments. Any citizen wishing to address the board about an item not on the meeting's agenda may do so during the designated time, as long as the comments are not personnel related or about an individual employee or student and are not legal in nature. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to address the board. We have one person. Do we have anyone online, Lori? Signed up? Okay, we have one person signed up. Gary Wilson.
Gary?
In talking with Lori Stroll and then Jenny last week, Jenny told me that this board is all about listening to the students and is student-oriented. You know, I thought about that and thought, you know, how are you oriented to a kindergartner or a second grader? I mean, do they do a survey and share their experiences? Even a fifth grader would be a strong challenge to get, you know, something really meaningful from. Now on to high school. I was probably your average high school kid growing up, be average, a little more naive than most probably, but if my school board asked me what I wanted, I'm sure myself and all my friends would have said, you know, no homework, open book tests only, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, I'm sure you can find some high school students that would articulate some meaningful responses. However, what about asking the real stakeholders here, especially for the K through 8th graders, the parents? So the school board is all about, you know, being student-oriented, but what about the parents? Where do they fit into the equation, or do they? If so, how much? I think the parents of the Evergreen School District have spoken through the recent results of the ESD school levy. The pitiful number, or the pitiful percentages of students meeting standards should be your highest priority. I believe as parents become more aware of these, pathetic numbers, they will demand this as a priority. Have you seen the recent OSPI percentages for students meeting standards just updated for the fall of 2021? Have you guys? If you haven't in your positions, I'm sorry, shame on you. The new percentage of students meeting standards in the Evergreen School District are as follows. English, 39.2%, not even 2 out of 5. Math, 20.5. That's 1 out of 5, or 4 out of 5 failing to meet standards. Honestly, I don't get it. You keep causing more and more classroom time and resources being carved out for non-academic purposes. You know, I've kind of shared this earlier, but social emotional learning and diversity, equity, and inclusion, which among other things has children question their gender, fostering gender confusion. It is never in the best interest of a child to question their gender. Culturally responsive practices or trainings, which paves the way for critical race theory, which judges people by the color of their skin, which, by the way, is the definition of racism. Equity policy, I know you've been working on it for 4 or 5 months now, which rather than giving all students equally the opportunity and tools to succeed, attempts to create equal outcomes by lowering or penalize some of them at the expense of others, basically helping to keep more students from meeting standards. All students, I think we can agree, are created equal and should be treated as equals, and all given the same chance to succeed. Sadly, some do not put in the time and effort that is necessary to succeed. Therefore, equal outcomes are not justice, but injustice for all. Identify those students not succeeding and get them extra help, one-on-one time, whatever it takes, but don't drag down the whole for the sake of some. All need to succeed with healthy outcomes, not equal outcomes. Thank you.
Mr. Wilson, your time's up. Thank you.
And I will hope that you will attend the strategic planning meetings that are for parents to come and talk to us about the plans for the future of our kids. Thank you.
Okay, so it is now 6:30, and we will go into a recess to sign documents and return for a workshop where we will have a CCTE presentation, a legislative update, followed by an executive session to review the performance of a public employee that is expected to last approximately an hour. Thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and reconvene, and we're going to start with our college, career, and technical education update. Go for it.
Hey, good evening. Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Boyd. I am Justin Birmingham. I enjoy the distinct privilege as being the director of CTE for the Evergreen Public Schools. I come to you this evening to present CTE annual update. Back in August, we together reviewed the annual goals for the CTE department and presented a plan. And at that time, you generously offered me the opportunity to come back mid-year to provide an update, and significantly after the return to school. Joining me this evening is the CTE Assistant Director, Ms. Kimberly Burhow. Kim predates my short tenure here by many years. She has taught in our schools. She currently teaches the Plan 2 certification program at CTA to get new CTE teachers certified. She has served on the Washington CTE Board of Directors. She is smart, savvy, experienced, and incredibly knowledgeable. We regularly plan, discuss, and make decisions together. We laugh and lament together. And so I thought it only appropriate that we present together. And it just so happens to be, as you're finishing up your dinner, Ms. Burhow's birthday this evening. And so if you don't mind, I brought some treats for you guys to enjoy on behalf of Ms. Burhow's birthday. So in this little sack, I'm going to put this down.
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I was informed by a reliable source that there are some gluten-hesitant individuals. So that is the brownies. Please take one and pass them down. And then we've got cupcakes as well for anyone who enjoys.
Wow. Do you get one?
Celebrate Miss Burhow
You
and the
know what?
CT
Are you going to
department.
get one of your... Did you get her one too, Justin?
Yeah, there's enough for, pass them down. She'll get the last,
Thanks,
she'll get
Jenny.
the last
I
one.
really appreciate you,
All right.
watching out for me. That's right. The party's for you guys.
Exactly. So with the sort of the pleasantries out of the way, if I'll direct you to the screen here, meet the next generation of Evergreen Public School teachers. Those are students from Heritage High School. They are the preschool teaching academy students. You'll notice they're all sporting the same sweatshirt there. They are out preparing to recruit for new students to participate in the Recruiting Washington Teachers Bilingual Educator Initiative, which is a bit of a mouthful, but what we're trying to strive to do is to diversify the workforce to more accurately reflect our emerging community. And these young men and women, mostly women in this image, who do represent the different languages spoken at Heritage are recruiting tomorrow's teachers in addition to themselves. So I thought only apropos to highlight them to start off our presentation this evening. Happy CTE Month, by the way. National CTE Month every February. Goals of our brief conversation this evening are to just review some data from our local CTE department and primarily spend the time highlighting student engagement and opportunities. As mentioned, they've returned back to school and real-life hands-on experiences, as well as looking ahead to the upcoming years in the CTE department specifically. Kim.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that kind introduction. Happy to be here. Just a few fast facts that we thought you might enjoy. We are in all 6 of our middle schools, all of our high schools, including new programs opening at Legacy. We also support Archway Academy and Hollingsworth. We have just a broad range of teachers, 143 total in these various areas. Some are a mix of basic ed teachers that have become CTE teachers, and some came through what's called the Plan 2 route, which they come with their industry experience. But they are been amazing this year and providing all kinds of opportunities for our students. So roughly, number of CTE courses in middle school, 13, high school is 152. So we offer a broad range of opportunities.
And you'll see the variance there is quite significant, and we'll talk a little bit later about what we're doing to actively increase the participation in the middle school course offerings a little bit later in our talk. Program enrollment, I just want to first direct you to the chart at the bottom, is the enrollment of high school as well as middle school from February 20th, which is just at the dawn of pandemic, through the challenges of the last 2 years. Proud of the work of our teachers, staff, and career guidance specialists in terms of enrolling kids. But as the challenges across our system and across our country continue to be local and immediate, they have not impacted at all. In fact, quite to the contrary. You can see growth, significant growth in the last 2 years in high school enrollment from 1,891 to 2,154 as of today. And similarly, the high school has grown from 137 youths to 215. Speaks again to, sorry, question?
ACME.
Well, ACME is an acronym for architecture, construction, manufacturing, and engineering. And so that's appropriate transition, Ms. Bradford, to just, you can, not at all, please, to see what the disbursement of the different program areas where our students are enrolled. So, and then the blue and the green differentiate gender. So the male enrollment is in blue, and the female enrollment is in green. And you can see our largest representation is in the family and consumer science. In large part, kids love to cook, as well as health class, which is a required graduation requirement, is in our CTE, family and consumer science. And so that represents the two largest components within FACE. But also our agriculture program area is comparably robust. But I also want to just highlight areas for us to our improvement. As you can see, as Ms. Bradford noted, there's a wide disparity in gender representation in some of our program areas. While ACME has more boys disproportionately, medical science at Gila and elsewhere have more girls. And so we have work to do to balance those numbers like we see in FACE and in agriculture across our system. And please, we welcome, I think, questions along the way. So interruptions are par for the course.
So, Justin?
Yes, sir.
Do these numbers include Cascadia Tech or not?
These are Evergreen Public Schools only.
Okay.
Cascadia Tech has their own set of data that they report directly. Thank you. Yep.
Can we go back?
Sure.
I was going to ask about on the computer science. That seems low to me for both boys and girls.
Yes, that is, you're going to hear a little bit more about what we're going to be working on with what we've been working on with computer science and trying to revamp that because it is low and we would love to see more enrollment in that area.
And with the agriculture, I mean, it's got great participation. What does that actually represent as far as what kind of career paths and things?
Yeah. Again, also, we'll get to that in a little bit too.
Oh, okay.
But no, I want to
wait
answer
till the
that.
end.
One of the things that has become a standard is environmental science in 9th grade. And the 8th grade classes, we do not count. That's in basic ed. But if they take it in 9th grade, so we have a large environmental science, and then we have AP Environmental. And so we've been really focusing, this year was our agriculture program renewal, and we've been really focusing in on the pathways. We have wildlife biology and animal behavior and veterinary. And we brought to you guys the new textbook, but we did expand vet to a 2-year program with vet science. We have a very strong environmental natural resources, and then we have, the animal strain as well.
Are these categories set up, named by us, or are they by the state?
So these are named by us. If you were to, with the state, they do have agriculture, but business and marketing and computer science are all under business and marketing. Weirdly, digital arts is with a lot of the ACME. Some of the ACME, the architecture and thing is in STEM, and we don't call it STEM, as one of the program areas. In sign language, ASL is in with family consumer science. So it's kind of weirdly put together at the state level, and they acknowledge that. They're working on trying to figure out how to split some of that apart. But photography and metals, it's all under the technology and industry program at the state, but they don't really go together.
So for us, we feel it by disaggregating in this way, it better reflects the actual programs that kids are taking.
Okay.
And
Great.
it's more pathway
you.
oriented.
And it fronts the computer science problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it helps identify the computer science
Yep.
problem, exactly, holding us accountable.
Who asked? Hello? Oh. It could be. We've been trying to have courses we're stacking that are more coming into middle school to high school and really having that vertical alignment. And so I would say that more of our numbers really are reflecting like 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. That's where I think a majority of our numbers are, versus the 11th, 12th. So maybe we're feeding Cascadia. So we're working on trying to get more of a pathway for us within our schools.
Thank you for asking.
Good question.
Yep. Academic course equivalency is a fancy term, Kim. Can you help define it for us?
Sure. So we have a lot of courses that count their CTE course, but maybe they count visual arts, get an art credit. And these are some of our business marketing or our teaching academy gets an English, junior or senior English credit. Same with math. So these are just reflective of how many courses we have. And again, down to that science and lab, science 26 is definitely part of that egg number that helps students graduate with science. And then we also have dual credit. We have a lot of different classes and that are currently articulated with Clark and LCC, Lower Columbia College. And so we're going to be we continue to work to add to this and give students more opportunity. We just, this last year had Heritage, had wildlife, college and high school wildlife biology, and our teacher at Evergreen High School just got that designation. So we'll be rolling that out as well.
So far, we've presented a whole series of bullet points and so forth. I'm about to queue up a little short video of, we call it the student interlude. But before doing that, are there any other questions about dual credit or course equivalency or anything else before you get to showcase some of our kids in action? If none.
I have a question.
Please.
Sorry. So just like Victoria's questions earlier and like what's in the different categories, is there something in the presentation that will show like maybe a list of all the classes that are classified as agriculture or all the classes that are, do we have something like that?
Not in this presentation, but I have that in a poster on my wall.
Okay.
So I can absolutely channel that through Ms. Stroll to you guys first thing tomorrow morning.
That would be great.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's probably an obvious overlook. So thank you for calling us out.
No, I was just in my mind trying to think of like different elective courses and then like, because we talked about the science classes, I wouldn't even thought about that as
Yeah.
being part of agriculture. I was
Yeah.
thinking more like floral design. And so
Yeah.
then I'm thinking,
Yeah.
wait, is that
Yeah.
even part of it?
Yeah.
Well, but see, like floral design is an art credit because we have gone through the equivalency process within our district. And so it actually satisfies an art credit.
So art, not agriculture?
It is under agriculture. It's what's called a 2-for-1. It checks two
I
boxes.
gotcha.
So it checks the art box and the CTE box.
And what I'll share with you tomorrow is this, it's this graphic organizer that has the name of the program and then like a web of all of the different courses that feed into that program. And so it's a visual, so it's not just a
Nice.
list. And I think it's a little bit more interactive in that way.
And I just think about it too, like all of the different opportunities that we have for our students. It'd just kind of be nice to have that list because I'm sure that there's probably classes out there that we don't even
realize.
Right. Well, and also too, if you look in the course catalog and you look under math or you look under science and the different areas, you will see our CTE courses listed within the those core academics as well as the CTE breakout as well.
These next 57 seconds are going to be a rapid fire of kids doing what they do best, which is hands-on learning, starting in the middle school and then transitioning to high school. Sorry, a little bit of an abrupt ending there. All right, now here's the chip. Don't do that. But
Like
do
the
this.
music.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a rapid. We're going to dig a little bit more deeply into to highlight some specific programs, starting with our partnership with IQ Credit Union, as well as the preschool programs. Kim?
Yes, so getting back to business, we wanted to share with you that our 4 campuses, our IQ Credit Union campus branches, opened up this fall after being shuttered for the year. IQ is an amazing partner with us, and we actually missed, so right before COVID in February of 2020, we opened in the old book room at Heritage, a Heritage campus branch, which we had been wanting to open. And then through everything, Sue, we hung in there and we got the campus branch remodeled. Away. There we go. And it's beautiful. So at some point we should have a grand reopening of it, but they just kind of quietly came in and are going. We have had our community preschool. So those are 6-week programs where the students plan everything and our community members bring in their students.
Well, this one's mine.
That one's yours.
The students have the chance for extended learning in CT. That's a big priority from locally as well as the state. And there are a number of state-recognized organizations that are referred to collectively as CTSOs, or Career Technical Student Organizations. And again, this year we're seeing offering the opportunity for kids to participate in extending their learning in applied ways through various competitions where, to no surprise, they've picked up where they've left off, earning awards locally and regionally, and even one of our DECA groups has already earned the national opportunity to travel conditions permitting later in the school year out to Atlanta for the national competition. There's one group in this amongst all of these champions, this is this year's, of course, that I want to draw your special attention to. Up in the top right corner are Chloe and Adam from the new Legacy High School. Legacy previously has not had the opportunity until this year to start a CTSO, but Adam and Chloe, as you can see there, are wearing the blazers that signifies their participation in Skills USA. And each were local award winners in a customer service competition, as well as Adam also won a competition in restaurant service, where he went through an advanced course in like white tablecloth service, like 4-star restaurant. And it was so cool to see for the first time Legacy, these kids I had to make the pun, establishing their legacy at the high school. So, so we have now spanned across all of our high schools where CTSOs are now not only present, but also flourishing.
So customer service, restaurant, what are the other skills
Oh.
in that? Is there a whole bunch, or is it?
Yes. I'll get that list to you too as well. I believe it's over 25 different
That's
skills.
what
I haven't heard of that one.
Skills USA spans.
It's the catch-all, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It has construction, architecture, medical,
Is that a
culinary
new
baking.
club? Skills USA, fairly new?
It's been there for years and years, I think.
It
Yeah.
used to be VICA. If you were years ago.
So some are content specific, right? Like future business leaders, or HOSA is health sciences,
Yeah.
or FFA, future farmers, et cetera.
Yeah, 'cause marketing,
And, yep,
right, and
exactly.
yeah.
And Skills USA is like the everything else, kind of like the YMCA, if you will. So, yeah.
There are
Good question.
12 of them, aren't they?
I'm sorry,
There are
what?
12 CTSO.
Oh, yeah, we don't
Or
have all
16, I
of, we
can't
don't
remember.
have all of them here.
Right.
We, it's really hard to have one of everything. So some of the ones like TSA and the sports medicine one, those we don't have. We don't have FCCLA. There's some ones we don't
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, I was thinking one of the non-CTSOs that seem to intersect with a lot of these, especially Skills USA, that has the attention of the legislature and some statute and grants behind it is FIRST Robotics.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you have involvement with their programs, or is that more school and parent driven?
Great question. So we have robotics clubs at Union and Mountain View High School that I don't believe are funded by FIRST Robotics. FIRST Robotics comes with a set of expectations around the coaches and the advisor and a whole series of other obligations that if you can self-fund, like the parents and communities are doing at Mountain View and Union, it offers you a bit more flexibility to be able to still achieve and compete at the same competitions, just with maybe a little bit less of the bureaucracy. So those resources are being generated locally through the family communities at both Union and Mountain View.
I think they also, some in the middle school, or the middle schools are able to participate, or
Indeed.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have some Lego League teams at a couple of middle schools.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a temperature check. We're a little bit more than halfway through, so appreciate your patience, but we also admire and respect your time. So we'll keep moving along here. Other things that we have been able to do again for the feels like for the first time, but it's coming back to normal. We're utilizing the space at the old Legacy High School. Thank you for physics through engineering competitions. What you see there is like a crash test competition where they designed ways to protect their vehicle coming down the ramp. And there was actually a presentation from a crash test investigator. So again, connecting the kids to the career possibilities. At Gila are the nursing clinicals. Last year, they were not allowed to go, understandably, into the senior living facilities and the other medical facilities to practice their skills in order to earn their CNAs, certified nursing assistants. Now they're back in and out in the community, partnering at both the facilities where those partnerships have lasted for a number of years. The STEM Academy is Union High School students pushing down into the elementary, peer learning, peer instruction, exciting littles to the prospects of what could be their potential both at middle school and high school. It is a strategy that we're utilizing to access STEM or CTE for all. Going back to the idea of representing or better representing our students, the earlier that they can see themselves as being STEM or CTE capable in part through our STEM Academy program with high school kids as leaders and mentors to them. We hope that translates into their enrollment in middle and high school. And then Kim's going to talk a little bit more about internships and work site learning in the next slide. But again, we see kids out in the community working and interning and getting paid, as well as getting high school and college credit for their work.
Just kidding, actually, and we're missing a slide. I'm not sure what happened to it, but I also want to let you know that like our student stores and our floral shops are up and running and following protocols and everything. So that's been really great as well. Are we jumping to this?
This slide that you knew?
No. Well, anyway, go back. Don't mind us.
Okay.
Don't mind us. We'll just start with the middle school.
We'll bounce back and forth. Apologies. There was a little goofiness. So we're talking about middle school expansion. We've had the opportunity this year to hire a program manager who has specifically focused his work in middle school program development, which has been great. 3 of which I'll speak about, and 3 of which Ms. Kim will talk about. The STEM exploration class, I refer to it as like the CTE sampler, where middle school kids in particular are going through short, concentrated modules across our CTE spectrum. So there's like a 2-week unit on digital arts, a 2-week unit in medical science, a 2-week unit practicing the installation of tiles or electronics or mnemonics, just basic introduction. And it's not too deep, and it's not all semester long. They don't have to make a full commitment into anything, but they get to try out a lot of stuff. And we feel that that's a powerful strategy for kids to not only recognize where their skills and their interests will be for when they forecast into high school, but it also mitigates the risk against taking a class and not liking it as a 9th or a 10th grader and then feeling like that's not for you. So STEM exploration at Frontier, is also at Cascade, and is also at Y East are all flourishing. The medical detectives class is Miss Suter at Shahila, so that's our pilot institution for now. The kids kind of like the CSI element of it, if you will, where they're kind of they're learning both science as well as sort of crime scene investigation through medical detectives, and the kids high level of engagement there. And then we've already talked a little bit about robotics. For us, our robotics program has been, it's got a strong history, but what we're trying to do now more in robotics is have the same program being offered across all of our middle school experiences. And so that guaranteed and viable curriculum wherever you are is going to be the same. We've had sort of pockets of different believers in robotics, and we're trying to get a system that's unified across all of our middle schools, so regardless of where they go, and then where they progress into high school, there's one consistent robotics program.
All right, so natural resources. This picture is from last spring, so it's not current, much as I would have loved it. We have a natural resource program. This is Frontier. We also have one going now at Cascade and other people, in talking with other middle schools. This is a direct line into either environmental science or that natural resource pathway, and really getting the students outside. And last year it was really great during all the COVID, where it was smaller groups to be outside, and they really enjoyed working. And Cascade, we are going to be hopefully working on a greenhouse soon, but it all is about building that pathway. Introduction to web design, that's kind of back to the computer science. The other things we have in middle school, we have like a tech tools, which is an introduction to a lot of things. We have intro to game design, intro to multimedia to give students an idea. This intro to web design came about from our teacher in Cascade and trying to figure out, do we need another game design class? And he was like, I really think that if we're trying to attract females, they really like the web design better. And so that was an intentional choice to try to go to see. So we're still, this is the first year we're running that, and it'll run in other buildings. And then just culinary labs, we had, and at Frontier and Y East had older labs, and now Y East is going to have a beautiful new culinary lab, but those programs are also flourishing as well. This is some of my heart work here. We work with the high school vocational pathway courses in Hollingsworth and Archway Academy to support our students going out on work experiences. We have 2 fabulous work site learning coordinators, Stephanie Griffin-Smith and Kara Farrell, that have gotten out, done the unbelievable this year, which was worked with our business partners, about 50 different partners, to get 122 students out every week on experiences. And they do a variety of things within our schools and also around in our community. And this is a full, transportation is impacted because they have to, they're, constantly running, and it's a huge coordinated effort. And it really has been fabulous. And this year is the first year that, with the proximity of Hollingsworth, that we can actually serve Hollingsworth with CTE programs in a meaningful way. And that has opened up a new world for them, especially with graduation and earning that credit. So really wanted to highlight that. But we have this video. When I asked Todd, I said, hey, do you think you have anybody that would want to share? And he's like, oh, I have the perfect person.
Mine's John McCall, and I go to a transition program.
All right, John, tell me about where you work.
Friends, my church, and Friends of the Carpenter.
And how many days a week do you work at Friends of the Carpenter?
Lots on Mondays and Tuesdays.
And what do you like about Friends of the Carpenter?
I like the sandpaper. I like to paint.
And do you like the people that you work with? Can you say that too?
I like the people that I work with. I really doing the job.
So he's just one of many that go out every week, which is, and we have a lot of we have job coaches also that go and support along with all the paras that work within the programs. All right.
Other just highlights, and I just want to touch on the CT partnership with our with Ms. Veronica Magdalenas, our dual language and ELL director, in terms of offering opportunities for students in the dual language program, first at Mountain View, to access CTE courses there, and then starting this upcoming year, rolling into Heritage High School, where 8th graders are moving in. Some of the challenges that we are facing, significant barriers to dual language resources. You would think in this day and age it would be not so challenging to find textbooks and curriculum material in multiple languages, but alas, it is. Although you'll see when the health textbook adoption comes to you, and potentially environmental science as well. We're hoping that you'll see that it comes in multiple languages, so that we can avoid the current circumstance at Mountain View High School, where the anatomy and physiology dual language program is primarily just translated, so taught in English, and then our DL instructor is serving as a translator. That's not what the model was ever intended to do, or is optimal. It's where we are by circumstance at this point. So a learning opportunity for us, for sure, is to be more active and to be more comprehensive in our searches for actual dual DL content. So excited about the prospects going forward in different areas in addition to medical science, in dual language and in CTE. And stay tuned for what those programs will be next year.
Yeah. So that picture is Heritage High School, the digital arts. That actually is their Skills USA club, but they have connected with an Australian high school. And you can see them on the monitor there, and they have regular conversation with them, which is really pretty fun. So I wanted to highlight that. Computer science, we've talked a little bit about that. One of the things in legislation is that computer science being required for students to forecast in all schools. So that's going to maybe help with our numbers. The computer science teachers and our advisory committee and myself, we went through a whole process to revamp our program and our offerings, and hoping that we're going to be adding back in some more networking, hardware type things, and CompTIA certifications. And then web design and development was a huge hole for us. It didn't really live in business and marketing and or computer science. Nobody really owned it. So we worked through that with all the teachers got together, and then computer science finally said, okay, we'll take it. So they are doing that with really working hard. And this year, we expect those numbers to go up after this year because this was the first year. Did a little work with couple of legacy teachers. Apex is our online program that students use. CTE credit. We found a way to get vocational or CTE credit by turning in a framework to the state and having a CTE teacher teach it. So we have a couple courses now that our online students are able to get CTE credit. We have to always say right on the framework, not for CTE funding because it's ALE funding. We don't want to cross those streams, but very exciting to be able to, again, reach all of our students in different ways. Okay, so that is a picture of the new Legacy Culinary Lab. Coming in through the bond. This is an expansion program, and it's very exciting there. And Archway also has, they were teaching literally out of a kitchenette. So Nora now has also a very small kitchen, if you've been there, that is more of a professional environment that our students are finding, because our students at Archway are, they're at Burgerville and they're working in different kitchens, and so they needed to definitely have someplace more than a kitchenette. Heritage is going to be expanding, and they have a new culinary lab coming in. It's a different way of teaching culinary. It's not going to be stations. It's going to be a full, maybe more like CTA has, and it'll have, it'll be a full kitchen, a professional kitchen, and then students will have stations. So that's pretty exciting. We're excited about that.
I just wanted to highlight this bond and capital improvement as a priority for us, as a testament to the prudent stewardship of the resource, the partnership with Ms. Steinbrenner and her team. At Mountain View and at Y East, the CT department has been regularly engaged throughout the planning process. And that just makes it more dynamic for our teachers to be involved. They feel like there's an ownership to the space. They can adapt the space to meet today's needs as well as to future-proof for tomorrow's needs. And so I just wanted to just give a nod to the new beautiful buildings that are coming online, not just for the programs that are in them, but for the process that we all undertook together, so as to make them be the best they can be and to survive the next 50 or 75 or however many years they're intended to be designed for. The Cascade Middle School greenhouse, we're just throwing that in there because that's a dream of ours. So stay tuned for that. That's not a bond investment, I want to say. That will be a CTE capital investment in order to expand the natural resources program at Cascade. So I want to be very clear. Those are separate, but they're on the same slide. Any questions about bond or capital improvements on behalf of CT? If none, then this complicated series of images is something I just want to highlight around the Skilled Trade Center progress. So last time I was with you in August, I brought along a couple of community leaders, Mr. Doug Green and John Gerard from Quail Homes. And at that time, you all endorsed the idea of moving ahead with the public-private partnership to build a skilled trade center on the campus of Evergreen High School. And the work has been moved into fast forward. Again, thanks in large part to Sue's team and Adam Cormick from RNC Management, as well as community members who are highly involved, as well as our teacher and then a new individual who I hired to be Atosa to lead this program. I just want to highlight a couple of things on the images if you don't mind. So on the left is the floor plan of the 7,500 square foot facility that's being constructed. The building itself was donated entirely by Mr. Green, so he's bought the building, and then we are putting it together. What that looks like are each of those little boxes are going to be learning modules. There's 12 of them there, where 4 kids can work at a time. And they'll start by building a floor, and then they'll install a couple of walls, put in a light socket, put in some plumbing, and then roof the little structure. So it's like a little practice house that they're building in groups of 4. And then the larger rectangle, at the bottom of the screen is where, after they've done the practice of their work throughout the majority of the first year, that they will build the tiny home that they will then sell and move out into the community to refund and sustain the investments for the increased material costs and other costs associated with their program. At the bottom there, you just sort of see the offices and the restrooms, et cetera. Upstairs in the top right is where the student lockers will be, as well as the office of the staff, so that they'll be able to look down onto the facility. For safety and supervision. And then the exterior look, where it's shaded in, is what our current project is designed and permitted for construction. You can see it's ultimately an A-framed facility. We anticipate the possibility of this program expanding, and so are making plans to be able to expand on the current building, which is only just the right-hand side currently. But if student interest and private partnership continues to flourish as we anticipate, we are leaving open the possibility of expanding the square footage of the Skilled Trade Center. I want to highlight, in addition, I mentioned the Skilled Trade Center coordinator position out of our department, who has been on the phone and in the community, meeting face-to-face with almost, he said today, almost 100 different business and industry partners, to whom he stated there's near unanimous encouragement and willingness to partner. That includes several or many industry suppliers for students who may not be interested in swinging a hammer and actually being construction or trades workers going forward, but want to work for an industry in human resources, business, marketing, real estate, or other. So all of the different businesses and organizations that are around the trades as well. Those companies are engaged and significantly as well. There's civic organizations, including the City of Vancouver, Clark County Public Works, and the Bonneville Power Administration, who are on board. And lastly, there are a number of these agencies who are seeking we're selling the sponsorships to each of these modules. And so your company, Milwaukee Tools, might be the sponsor for one of the modules. Columbia Electric might be the sponsor for another of the modules, in further engaging our partnership, as well as bringing those experts into our facility to both demonstrate and give instruction, and then ultimately open doors for student internships and work opportunities as the kids complete their work with us. Question?
As we're looking at the different people that are partnering with us, are we looking at, there's multiple types of contractors. I mean, we've got commercial, we've got residential, we've got production. Are we kind of trying to get across the board so that we've got the independent contractor who's out there building one house at a time versus the Holt Homes that's building a zillion houses all at one time, so that we get, because it's a very different mindset in the industry. So I'm hoping that we can get that kind of different feel to things, because I don't want to overlook our smaller businesses, whether it be the small independent electrician or the contractor that, because it's a real different way of viewing the industry.
Yeah.
And may resonate with certain students in different way. They may be drawn to the different types of.
So I'm glad you asked, because I think through your question, you better exemplify what I was trying to explain as I hurried through my remarks in terms of the breadth and the depth and the variety across the spectrum, small, medium, large, suppliers, builders, public, private, small business, large business, medium size, et cetera. We just recently, as a CT department, joined as membership into the Clark County Building Industry Association, the local trade association, to build that network from all the members, small, medium, and large. Just last week, in fact, we were also awarded a grant from the Home Builders Institute for curriculum and partnership, again, seeking, Ms. Bradford, everything that you say, to give kids the full gamut from pillar to post, small, medium, and large, so that you're right, the culture and the expectations, while they might be similar around professionalism and responsibility, and but that the skills that they need to succeed in those might just be nuanced enough that we have an obligation to reflect the entire spectrum. Yeah. I've got a man who is doing that full time. That's his job.
Mr. Perkins.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all right. Regarding the placement of the building on the site, I'm aware that, and this might just be something for you to answer later, John, but I'm aware that EOCF is behind Evergreen High School, and I wondered if they were going to be displaced by this construction and have to go someplace else next year?
That's a great question. No. So we, if you can picture, sir, the driveway or the road that splits Cascade on the left and Evergreen High School on the right, and currently where our GIC pad is, that's the host of the Skilled Trade Center. I believe EOCF occupies where Legacy High School is or was. Those portables kind of back behind there, or the plan, I'm not entirely positive, might include them being able to access some portion of, or at least I've heard mention of the possibility of EOCF, which I concur to you is an essential early learning partner for equity and access in our community that could potentially take up residence, but not be in competition for space with the GIC or the STC program.
Are you thinking of the early Head Start that is, there's another
it's
portable.
in the portable cluster in the east side behind.
Yeah, that one, I don't think, Sue, that one is not going. And the one, not the one on Legacy, but the one on, that's the early Head Start that's on Evergreen campus it's the first portable when you walk out. Yeah, she says no.
They were
If Sue
displaced
says
from,
no.
They were displaced from Ellsworth when.
So, yes, they were. So actually, they were always continuing to partner with them and talk with them. Right now, the one that Justin was, it gets confusing because there's multiple IOCF portables on in proximity. The one that's Justin mentioned, that is used to be the grads, teen, parent, childcare, has an infant side and a toddler side. They are using, EOCF is using that right now since Ellsworth, they lost that space there. And we have not had the need with the grads because we partnered with them a couple years ago and they took over the grads childcare. So there's that. And then the other one that's right there on the campus is more the 3 to 5. That is the triple wide that we're also talking about, that's right outside the doors, that's next to the GIC area. So there's 2 places that we're hoping.
And neither of them will be displaced by this, and that's really good.
No. Thank you, though, for putting that into space here this evening. That's again, critical for us. We promote preschool early learning just as much as skilled trade center learning and everything in between. And it does us no justice to not be prioritizing our partnership with Head Start. As we turn for home, Kim, looking
Yeah.
ahead.
Okay. New class for next year, landscape architecture, hoping to again get some dual credit with Clackamas, hopefully. And then it leads into that whole horticulture and natural resource across middle and high school. Do not have to, what's nice about landscape architecture is that you don't have to have a greenhouse or, actual planting. They can be done in a regular science classroom. We have a coffee cart at Legacy High School, and that's on its way. We've been trying so hard to get it going. We have the coffee cart and everything, and we're working on all the permitting, but that will support people here from ASC can go over. But the beauty of it is that this gives Legacy. They don't have a student store. They don't have a floral shop. They don't have any way to generate income to support their ASB. So what's nice about this is that it will be run out of our culinary, overseen by our culinary teacher, but it will help generate income for ASB for them. So when it comes out, you guys just have to all get coffee.
So we'll be there. We will.
They're good. Years ago, we had a screen printing school-based enterprise at Archway, and we never really had a very good place to do the screen printing. We tried, but then the portables, it didn't work. So in the new Archway Academy, we do have a room that is specifically designed for screen printing, and so we are working with Ryanette and with getting the construction all finished and set up there so that then we can start working with our students to do some screen printing. Probably won't be ready for making t-shirts really until next year, but they're going to try to start this year. So that's awesome. And again, we're just always continuing to look for new dual credit opportunities for students.
Great.
So turning back the clock to August again, these are a handful of the goals that I presented to you that you approved for the CT department for 21-22. And I just want to do a little status check to hold ourselves accountable. Have we been making progress since August to date on service to underrepresented populations? I would argue yes. From all the examples, including our friend John, the work that we're doing at Legacy, as well as across all the buildings, middle school and high school, our service to underrepresented populations is and will always be a priority for us. New program development, service to the middle schools, strengthening our advisory, making partnerships stronger with our business and industry in our advisories, continues both on Kim's programs as well as my own. We've referenced a couple times dual credit opportunities as well as increased industry certifications associated with not only computer science, but I mentioned just briefly our skilled trade center kids will walk out with industry recognized credentials across the trades. And then just all the examples that we showed of our kids and staff adapting to the new normal, whatever that might be, in their schools, in their communities, out performing in CTSO competitions and other. So I feel pretty good, and I think I speak for Kim as well. And I also want to give a nod to the other members of our staff here locally in the ASC who helped compile the information and put this presentation together. We are a cohesive unit, small but mighty, there on the third floor, and we welcome you when you're ever in the building to stop by and say hello for our mission from your vision in service to students in career technical education, setting them on a path for whatever their journey might be. If it's 2 or 4 year college, if it's a trades program, if it's directly into career, we want to be as adaptable and flexible to the students and always be centering it, particularly for those who are traditionally underrepresented. And so with that, for the third and final time, the students have the last word. I do want to highlight just one of the little bits in this. Kim told me not to talk about the whole thing, but just at the top is at Heritage High School, homecoming. You're going to see a new version of the national anthem. Just tease it like that.
Hi, my name is Joanne, and I'm from Union High School. My name is Jean Lynn, and I'm a junior at Union High School. I joined this organization as an 8th grader and am now in my 2nd year as a freshman. I currently serve as the state parliamentarian of the Washington Future Business Leaders of America, and also serve as the executive director of public policy on the FBLA National President's Executive Council. I'm currently serving as the Southwest Region Vice President from Washington FBLA. FBLA has increased my leadership skills all the way from public speaking to how to lead a meeting. I now also have experience in hosting a conference for the whole Southwest region of Washington State. FBLA has pushed me into the right career path and helped me grow as a leader I am today.
Hello, my name is Sebastian. My name is Luke. We're at Evergreen High School and we're in the game design program. We learned to make our game through the mini projects we took in our game design class, and this is our final project. We took the CTE class because we were interested in making games and learning to program. I'm glad the CTE class was available for us.
This is just the evolution of our architectural program from the model to the pencil sketch to a more precise drawing, and then all the way into the SketchUp architectural program.
Hello, my name is Michael Hodges. I'm from Mountain View High School, and today I'm going to be talking about what I did in the drone CTE class. So the assignment that I had was building a mind's eye drone, and it is a really fun project.
This is giving it throttle. This is roll to the right. This is roll to the left. This is roll back. This is pitch back. Pitch forward.
Overall, this is a very fun class to take. I think anyone could really enjoy this, or anyone that just wants to get into some sort of engineering. Me personally, I want to become an auto mechanic, and it's definitely helped with just working on things. Alright, thank you.
CTE organizations have helped me figure out what I want to do in the future, as well as develop my leadership skills and other skill sets to better prepare me for the future.
And there you have it from us. And again, no one can speak to it better than the students themselves. And we did not tell them to say anything. We just posed a few questions, and they rendered back their individual crafts and their reflections. And so with that, we thank you again for your work, not only on behalf of us, but the CT department, but students at large. And if there are any remaining questions, I know we've taken a lot of your time, but we're happy to stay here as long as you'll have us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Give them back to her.
Yeah, make sure she gets a cupcake for her birthday. Happy birthday.
I want to ask, I'm going to ask Clarissa, have they taken a peek at that area? Thank you for the treats. They were delish.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so next on the agenda is our legislative update. Rob?
So I probably have had just about as much time to look at this because the budgets, some of the, or all of the budgets were released yesterday by the Four Corners legislative groups, and there are comparisons that in the analysis that folks are still making with between the two or the four. No, there's just a House and a Senate one. But they all seem to be increases in funding for the next 3-4 years, including some enrollment stabilization proposed. so that if our enrollment comes back and to the levels that we'd seen it before in 19 and 20, that we haven't lost too much in the interim time. But I don't know, John, if you'd like to add anything to that. It's really just a fast-moving session. I feel like we're being swept along in a lot of ways by the number of bills. I think I read this morning, coming from a different direction, that they pass an average of 315 bills in a short session. And they're considering many more than that at this point, just past the cutoff where the hearings are taking place. I want to bring again to your attention the bill that proposes that this is a tort action bill, and I'll get the number in a minute or two, but its effect, if passed the way it stands right now, would have no impact on public agencies like the district. But its proposal is to assess interest on judgments against an agency, a company, what have you, from the date of the cause of harm, rather than the date that the judgment was given. And that, because of the delays that can exist between a cause of harm for a child and the right they have to report on that and start legal action as an adult, would mean compounding interest at, I think, 9% or something like that from that early date. And that poses a lot of risk. The Washington State Risk Pool has prepared some talking points about that. I think I sent that one on to you, which you could share with the others. But as it goes through its committees and gets to the floor, the thing to watch for in that one is that the public agency exemption is not removed. And the fear from concern from folks statewide who are facing this is that it might get removed by the House and go into reconciliation after passing the House. So that's an important change in risk that could probably use our individual advocacy and maybe in a position by the board or something like that to really add our voice to the advocacy needed to make sure the bill is structured right.
Is that bill gaining momentum?
It has momentum, but it has momentum with the public agency exemption in it. And folks who are discussing what happens believe that it'll pass. So the thing to watch for is a removal of that.
What's prompting the bill?
The rationale behind it, according to what I've read, was that the sponsors of the bill and the factions that support it believe that it will encourage people to go to settlement rather than carry it all the way through a jury trial because the courts are overloaded. It's got a lot of lawyers associations and other legal type groups behind it. But other than that, the core reasoning isn't clear to me. I think there are some materials that I could forward on to the rest of you if you like that.
In some of that, I'm just thinking about if that were to suddenly change and include public agencies, often that's that the court system is what's going to, I mean, the agency wouldn't be in charge of the court system that creates the delay that, and if you settle on something that really maybe shouldn't be settled on, then it's putting the financial health of the institution in jeopardy, and it's also penalizing the public agency for a situation that they don't create as far as the delay goes.
Yeah, you're exactly describing some of the arguments against removing that exemption as they exist. It's not knowing about a hazard or some damage means that you can't take action to fix it. So being at risk of paying that interest from a monetary award and a tort action, you think of what 9% does to $100,000 over 10 years, and the awards are generally higher than that. when there are remedies that need to be addressed. Of course, when something goes wrong, we want to know and repair. We always do and always will, and that's an important part of the advocacy too, is that it would go against our values of safety and security for students and staff and parents not to have that attitude. But maybe you can talk a little bit more about the budget, John, if you'd like, and I'll find this bill number. Oh, no, I gotta pause and look up the number. Just got to.
Rob, do you mean that the state budget came in much more favorable than?
Yeah, if you could talk about some of the details about what elements of that could benefit Evergreen. It's just that I haven't had time to study it in as much detail as I wanted to before.
I just know that it helps with all of the bills that are favorable, the prototypical model, the hold harmless, and all of the bills that we're seeking to, support have better chances because the state budget came in so favorable.
I'm trying to find it here. I'm sorry.
You could always just send us a,
I can't. There it is. This is Senate 5155 this year. And I just found the document, so I'll be able to forward the talking points to you right away. Yeah. Other than that, all of the policy changes that seemed really important at the beginning of the session seem to have progress. The transportation stuff is kind of unknown at this point. And there might not be funding in the first year, but it looks like they're working towards the formula changes that would represent and fill the costs better than they have. That's pretty much all I have.
All right. With that, that is the last of the workshop items. So we are going to go ahead and go into an executive session to review the performance of an employee. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight.